So those can view it later, as well as after this conversation, you'll get a pop-up window that's going to ask you to fill out a 3-question survey. And if you have time, we would love for you to do that for us. We want these to be informative and helpful to all of our audience members. So that helps us make sure we're on the right track to bring you the information that you are interested in hearing about. Today, I'm welcoming Dr. Julie Marshall. She's our COO here at Canopy, and we are going to go through the counseling referral process and the processes Canopy has established to keep our speed to care down, as we all know that the increased demand for mental health support is gone up. The speed to care, we're hearing people that sometimes have, a month waiting time. So we're going to talk with Julie, and she's going to go over some numbers for us. And then we're going to get into some video and talk more with her about our referral process. Welcome, Julie.
Why, thank you. So go ahead. Sorry, Stephanie.
No worries. I was just going to say, do you want to go ahead and talk to us about the last couple of years as we've seen this demand for mental health support? It's increased significantly. And as I said before, we've seen it, and I'm sure you as employers have seen it, or members come to your employees, and the access or time for care has been sometimes a month or more. And then they come to Canopy to use their EAP benefit, and we've developed this system to offer timely access. So Julie, if you just want to talk about that and the numbers that you see here on the screen, and how we get to those numbers.
Absolutely. I do love this slide because these are numbers that we're not only proud of, but we have to work really hard to achieve. So 10 seconds, that's the first number. We maintain our staff levels to ensure that all calls are answered immediately. We don't want people put in a queue. We don't want them put on hold. And we want them to talk to someone live right away. So we've set up our systems to make sure that happens. And we watch this metric closely to ensure our standard is met. And our standard, by the way, is under 15 seconds. So you can see that we've exceeded that goal with being under that 10 seconds, which is real important when delivering care. So 5 to 7. So this is the days to first appointment. And, as Stephanie mentioned in her intro, this is one that is not only closely watched by us, it's the one that I think has the most awareness around it. Probably a relatively new awareness over these last 1.5 to 2 years. We get the most questions about this from our groups. And it's certainly important to members to make sure they're getting the care they need. Now more than ever, there's this, an increased understanding around the need for access to care. And I think it's an awareness that didn't exist before, right? That it was kind of a given, or it was one that employers maybe weren't as educated about. And now they are, as like Stephanie said, they're hearing from their employees struggling to get in. So, as we've entered this national mental health crisis, and it's an access crisis, really, there's increased demand, there's less providers. And so it's an issue getting people connected to mental health care. And it's essential that we feel it's essential that we can deliver on this. It's at the core of what we do. And really, it's always been at the core of what we do, providing that direct service, but it takes more time now. And so we allocate a lot of staff time and processes to make sure this happens. The national average to getting a first appointment now sits at 21 to 28 days. So for us to hit this goal of 5 to 7 days, we have put a lot of considerable intentional effort. And we have a team dedicated to matching members with the appointment. And it starts from the moment that a member calls us. So, many times right when they call us, we're able to match them with an appointment and with a provider. But if we can't, we work on that case every day until an appointment is set. And an important point also is that the member makes one call. So the rest of that work is behind the scenes by our staff. In the video that Stephanie mentioned, you'll get to see some more details about that process. So the final number, 3 to 4. So that's 3 to 4 days with a health coach. So we have a staff of trained health coaches available for scheduling. So this is a great service option for those who might not need mental health counseling. Maybe they don't need treatment for depression or anxiety, but they want help navigating a life transition, or they want to build their communication skills. So our coaches can help the member set a goal, identify strategies to overcome any barriers to reaching that goal, and then building skills around that goal. So this can be a really nice alternative to counseling for people.
Mhm. That's great. And you'll see me in the audience shaking my head often, because with Julie, a little bit of background, I've been on that other side when I first started at Canopy and answered those calls. And it is so true. When someone calls in, if we don't have that match right away, we work on that case every single day. And that's what I've so loved is, as we've developed this system and this process, it has definitely evolved over time. But what has stayed consistent is the service and serving all of them with heart. And that is truly what I have felt from Canopy, Julie. And so I love that. And I just, through this process, and we'll get into the video and how we've kept our numbers below the national average, is due in part to that referral process that Canopy's established. But everything is done with heart behind it, regardless of the tech, the advances, and all of that. So I just have to say I've loved that. I truly stand behind that Canopy's approach to that. So that being said, we're going to go into this video and you'll sort of get a behind the scenes look of the referral process. And then we'll go into a little bit more detail about those partnerships with our providers and what makes it work on the other end of things. So we'll start that
The
video.
demand for mental health support has increased significantly over the last few years, and Canopy has created a system to continue to offer timely access. We created this video to explain the referral process. When you contact Canopy to access counseling, we will gather your demographic information to create a confidential profile. We will match you with a counselor based on scheduling preferences, clinical specialty, and diverse characteristics that are important to you. Counseling appointments are available in person, virtually, and by phone. Your counseling referral is authorized instantly. Canopy contacts your counselor to place the referral on your behalf. The counselor's office will then reach out to you directly within 3 to 5 business days to schedule an appointment. Behind the scenes, Canopy staff monitor your referral daily to make sure you get an appointment scheduled in a reasonable timeframe. You may receive periodic phone calls from Canopy keeping you updated on the status of your referral. If the counselor you are referred to is unable to accommodate you in their schedule, Canopy will notify you and refer you to a different counselor. Canopy will stay in contact with you until your first appointment is scheduled, which is typically 1 week. You are welcome to contact Canopy at any time with questions about the referral process or for immediate crisis counseling. Thank you for choosing Canopy.
So Julie, do we want to talk just a bit about, as we saw that, and we talked about the criteria, what kind of criteria can we use to match clients with the providers? And then what other factors has Canopy built into that referral process?
The video went into that detail around how we match the counselors, and it's real important because we've collected that information. We work in partnership with our providers to make sure we have that updated information so we can match members with a counselor based on probably about 8 to 10 several criteria, and I think they mentioned some of those on the video. And they're all centered around the members' preferences and their needs. So those scheduling preferences they might have, their geographic location, their clinical specialty need, and diverse characteristics such as gender or ethnicity maybe. And so the other piece that's real important for us is to, whenever possible, we prioritize matching them with a counselor who also accepts their medical insurance for continued care. So what that means is that if they start seeing an EAP counselor and need to continue on beyond those EAP sessions, they can, because their provider is also under their insurance. So there's that seamless transition that can happen. And we know that our process of matching and how we do all of this follow-up is successful because 80% of our clients attend a first appointment. And this is significantly above what is happening in the industry, which has an average of 30%. So you can see that it's working. And we really are happy about that number because we want to make sure people don't get lost in the cracks, and that they get connected to their counselor. And I think one of the biggest ingredients in our secret sauce, as you will, that allows us to provide this diversity and that accessibility of scheduling is that we have always valued and nurtured our relationship with our providers. Whoops. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to switch the slides. I was making sure. And so we've nurtured that relationship with our providers. They're an integral part of our services. Our history, our whole approach has been to support our providers. We communicate closely with them and generally try to make sure that our processes are as simple as possible for them. So we have streamlined billing. There's little to no paperwork. We pay frequently, which they like. We provide them consultation support so they can call and talk to us about difficult cases. So we're not just a name and a referral source with an email, here's a referral. We really work closely with them. And so as a result, we've entered into this crisis, this kind of provider mental health crisis that we all find ourselves in, with strong relationships with our providers. So they make themselves available for our clients, our members, and that has been invaluable.
Mhm.
So I thought to just illustrate, here's some quotes from some of our providers that they've said recently. So the first one, I would recommend working with Canopy EAP because as an experienced provider, I receive referrals in a competent and professional manner from them. Another quote, while there are numerous EAPs constantly requesting my participation as a provider, I have chosen to work with just one, Canopy. Why? This organization far exceeds the expectations of me as a provider and the clients that are referred to me. Authentic, caring, responsiveness, follow-up are just a few of the key daily initiatives focused on by this EAP. And finally, I've always enjoyed working with your EAP program and the ease of filling out paperwork. Some EAPs have become too labor intensive, and I'm choosing not to renew contracts with them. So those give you a feel, for the loyalty of our providers and the relationship that we have with them.
Right. And I know that, we're talking about this perfect, we have sort of used that play on words, the perfect partnership, the perfect team. And we talked about the partnership we have with our counselors and then the teamwork that goes into connecting members with providers. Is there any example that you could share of where we've had, a client calling in and how we connected them with a provider, if there was a specialty that they were looking for or anything we had to do behind the scenes? Have we recruited a provider based on someone that had called in and wanted someone specific, or do we do that?
Yeah. All of this that I have talked about today is achieved because of our team, and you even touched on that, Stephanie. We have a great team and teamwork is at the heart of what we do. We as a company are mission driven. Right. And that mission we are focused on is making sure we serve people with heart. We instill that from day one when someone starts with us, and it's really something that joins us and drives us together. And to us, that means making sure members are taken care of when they call us by responding quickly and providing care as fast as possible. And it is something that's just ingrained in us, Yeah. I love that you talk about, because you've been here for a very long time. So I love, in all levels, really. And so I love that you see that and feel that. That's kind of our Canopy family. So yes, and you asked me for an example as I drone on, but an example that occurred like this week, I thought was a really good one that exemplifies kind of that teamwork part. And we had a member who called us and was concerned about her adolescent daughter who had shared some suicidal thoughts with her, and she wanted to set up counseling for her daughter. They live in a fairly remote area, and they also had some specific requests around ethnicity and gender of the counselor. So first, our counselor, discussed with the mom what was going on, assessing the safety of the daughter, even got the adolescent on the phone to do an assessment. Once safety was confirmed, and as she was working with the mother, the EAP counselor triggered our provider team to start working on getting that first appointment date. So we didn't have a counselor who fit that criteria because of what they needed in their location, because it was remote, but the daughter did actually prefer virtual. So that opened up the panel geographically. And the provider team simultaneously started calling different providers to find availability. And they were able to schedule an appointment with one of our long-term providers who adjusted their schedule to be able to get the adolescent in quickly. They recognized that need. And she had an appointment within one day. Yeah. And the provider team kept our staff counselor updated, who was then checking in with the mom and the adolescent until that appointment happened. So to make that happen on that case, that took a team. And there were about 5 team members who worked on that one case to get them in. And, and that's not an unusual situation. That's kind of how that system is set up that we've talked about, that the video showed, the behind the scenes piece of that in terms of how we work together to get that done.
That's great. That's a great example. And it just shows that partnership with our providers and our team members here. And we all jump into, definitely, that's our first priority, is getting that member served. Going on, we're going to wrap up here real quick. I know this goes so fast. So I appreciate your time on that. If there's any questions, we're going to go ahead. You could use your chat function. I'll give just a minute or so. And of course, I will be sending out an email that will include the video, the link, PowerPoint slides. So of course, you can always contact us after the fact if a question comes up. If there's a concern, or maybe you have an employee that's approached you and you have questions on the referral process, we are happy to answer those for you. If you would like, our next conversation that we're going to have is on coaching. And I know Julie touched briefly on that, on another service that we provide, not just face-to-face counseling sessions, but we do have coaching, and we're going to go into more detail about what that is at our next conversation. That will be in October, and that will give you a lot more information on that service that's available to employees. So for now, I hope you all learned something new today, and until next time, please be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.